Okay, today we are going to start in a restorative yoga pose. So if you have a bolster or some pillows or blankets or couch cushion or a comforter, kind of like a folded up comforter can be kind of nice. We will set up something that will lay on top of. I like to have a little something higher for my head, so maybe a pillow or a blanket up on top of that. And then if you do have your blocks, we will also use those. I like to have my blocks kind of halfway up the mat on either side here. You're gonna just scoot back until you come to your stack of props and just start to lower your way back. If you want to take this hip opening position, we will bring the soles of the feet together and then open the knees out wide. Make sure that your blocks are on the right setting for you. You might be up here on the highest setting, so you have even more support. You want to have at least some support, even if you have very flexible hips and you don't necessarily need to use blocks. It is very, very nice to still support yourself, because then your hips, your hip joints, the pelvis feels a little safer, perhaps. And then you can get a little bit deeper of an opening throughout those hip and inner thigh areas. So go ahead and just adjust until it feels right. You might, again, add more props under the knees or kind of move where those blocks are so it feels as comfortable as possible for you. Sometimes it takes some unique angling of the blocks. And so we're feeling a little bit of a chest opener, a heart opener here, if you will. A little something extra under the neck and head can be very supportive here too. And depending on your body, some of us have very tight chests and pectoral muscles. So maybe having your arms out wide could feel like too much. If that's the case, you could try bringing your hands down by your sides, or maybe rest your hands on top of your body somehow. Our goal here is to be restful and just a gentle sense of opening through the front of the body. So, again, just keep adjusting until it feels right for you. Find your own variations if none of those quite felt right yet. And then just allowing some space here as you begin your yoga practice today. Maybe closing your eyes, or maybe keeping them open today. And for the next few moments, just beginning to see what's up with you. What's up with your body, your mind, your emotions, your spirit. Just seeing what arises for you here. And if you're not quite sure where to start with that, just looking for sensations. Maybe noticing and releasing any tension or tightness. Maybe doing a quick review of your day, just kind of noticing how much energy you've expended, how much energy you have or would like to expend or explore during this practice. Maybe noticing any emotions that arise. And remembering that as complex humans like we are, there can be so many different emotions at once. Certainly, you could feel even seemingly opposing emotions. It is definitely possible to have more than one at once. So, just allowing some time and space here for whatever arises. Letting go of any gripping through the hip joints here, really relying on your props. Releasing any muscle engagement that you can. Becoming nice and soft. Restful and present. And beginning to notice your breath if you haven't quite yet. Just starting as a neutral witness. Just kind of seeing how your inhales and exhales flow. If it feels right, maybe deepening or slowing your breath. As you slowly grow your breath, see if you can explore, or see if you want to explore, creating this sense of a full body breath. Like you're using your entire body to breathe. Not necessarily that you're moving any of your muscles, but just that your body's becoming more and more alive. Like each breath in is giving you the subtle awareness of the oxygenation of your blood. Maybe a little tingle of awareness of this energy flowing through your body. Creating this sense of aliveness through the breath. And for some people, that might mean that there's maybe just a slight intensity to the breath or an invigoration. Maybe there's a little sound that happens, almost like an oceanic sound as you inhale and exhale. And if you would like to set a dedication or intention for this practice today, feel free to bring something or someone to mind. And please know that if you feel like this is a complete practice for you today, you're welcome to stay here, just breathing and noticing and being with whatever arises. And if you are ready to begin our movement portion, let's take 3 clearing breaths together. Go ahead and inhale through your nose, filling all the way up. And sighing or blowing out of your mouth. 2 more like that, inhaling through your nose. Eventually sighing or blowing it out. 1 more. And then beginning to move in any little way that your body wants to. Just nice and small at first, maybe a wiggle of the fingers and toes, or maybe a little movement of your head. Just continue to awaken your body in intuitive ways. Maybe reaching your arms up and overhead for kind of like a half long body stretch. And at some point here, we'll help the legs, help the knees come up to the center. So give them a little hoist. Toe heel your feet out wide toward the edges of your mat, and then allow your knees to come together at the center. So we're kind of in constructive rest pose here. Just let your hands come down wherever they want. Notice your hips. Take 1 more slow breath. And then let's slowly transition to either side. Just kind of coming to the side, coming off of your props. And then eventually coming up to a seat. You can move those props to the side for now, or even sit on your stack of props if you'd like. We're going to come to a seat here. And that might be a cross-legged seat, or you might come up to a couch or chair in your space. Just find what's comfortable. Let's tent the fingertips up by the sides to help us sit up nice and tall. Noticing your sitting bones at the base of the pelvis here. Notice your spine. Lengthen up through the crown of your head. And if you're feeling any kind of crunchiness through the neck, just taking like a half tuck of your chin. So the back of your neck is finding length. I like to close my eyes here just so I can really feel what feels like the best alignment for me today. So you might do the same, sitting tall, like a strong mountain. And then when you're ready, let's flip the palms. Take a breath in as you slowly reach around and up, with the option to look up toward your palms as they join overhead. And then exhale to lower your hands down to heart center with a tuck of your chin. Inhale, reaching high again. With your exhale, bring your thumbs to third eye center. Inhale, reaching high, looking up if you like. Exhale, reaching around and down. Let's do that again. See if you can flow with your breath. Inhale, reaching up, looking up if you want. Exhale, hands come down to heart center, tucking your chin. Inhale, reaching high, palms stay together. Exhale, thumbs to third eye center. Keep going at your own pace with your breath. Inhaling to lift. Exhale, reaching around and down. Nice. Let's do that one more time. Go at your own pace here. See if you just kind of remember how it goes. Eventually the fingertips finding the floor again, but no rush. Let your chin come down toward the center of your chest here and feel the back of your neck, maybe the upper shoulders. Letting your shoulders kind of melt down and away. Pausing here to see what is. And then at some point, rolling that right ear toward your right shoulder. Noticing any stretching feelings through that left side of the neck. Stay here as long as you'd like, and at some point the chin will come back down toward the center of your chest, and then allow your left ear to start rocking toward your left shoulder. Take your time as you rock back and forth a couple more times. Spending enough time in the transition so you feel really what's going on along the whole route. The whole side back, or the whole way, side to side. Pausing anywhere that needs some extra love. Finding any detours. And then the chin will come back down toward the center of the chest. With an inhale, let's look up. Or tilting the head up, kind of sticking the chin out a little bit. And then exhale to lower your chin back down toward the center of your chest. Go ahead and do that a couple of times. We're inhaling to look up, sticking the chin out a little bit. Exhale to lower. Inhale to lift. Exhale to come back to neutral. All right, take a breath in and just turn your head. So the rest of your body is going to stay still. Just the head turning to the left with your inhale. Exhale, turning to the right. Do that a few times. Inhaling to look to the left. Exhale, looking to the right. Just see how it's going, how much it feels like it's gliding. How is your neck feeling today? One more time, inhaling to the left. Exhaling to the right. Breathe like normal as you come back to the center. Let's move along to hands and knees. So sweeping those legs around and back. Tabletop position. You can always grab a little knee cushioning here if that helps your knees feel a little more comfortable. Fingertips will be spread out nice and wide, hands right below the shoulders, knees below the hips. With your inhale, start to lower your belly, lift your gaze and your tailbone, cow pose. Exhale to round your spine, tuck your chin, tuck your tailbone, press the floor away, stretching those shoulders. Inhale, cow pose, a little stretch of the belly, a little stretch of the back. Exhale, cat. Keep going now. Feel free again to take any detours, twists, or turns. Maybe even surprising yourself with a new variation. Or maybe sticking to the classic versions of cat and cow. All right, eventually moving into extended child's pose with the knees reaching out wide, big toes touching behind you, just starting to sink your seat toward your heels. If your knees don't quite feel ready for that deep bend, maybe coming back up to tabletop and then floating on back a couple of times. You can always pause early. You don't have to sink your seat all the way down. You could kind of come to a kind of more upright, not upright, but just a little higher position, or maybe sitting on a block or a bolster or a pillow behind you. Maybe coming down to your forearms, maybe reaching your hands up to the top of your mat and then sinking down. And just take a moment here to notice what's happening in your body. Where are you feeling sensations? Are you feeling some stretching? Are you feeling any pain? If so, maybe adjusting. Are you feeling any pleasure? Any good feelings? Maybe savoring. Find that belly breath here for about 3 more rounds of breath. Inhaling so deep that it feels like the belly. We're breathing into the belly. Two more breaths. One more breath in. One more breath out. With an inhale, rising up to your tabletop. We'll get in place for our first downward facing dog. So grabbing your blocks if you like to use them. And hands gripping into the blocks or the floor. Curling your toes under, pick up your knees, and then reach your tailbone high. Press into all edges of the hands, each and every knuckle. Reach through the shoulders, reaching through up through the tailbone. Find your breath. Commit to a steady pace of breath here. Maybe pedaling out your legs, bending and straightening opposite knees. See if you can kind of loosen all your facial muscles here. So you just look super chill through the face. And then we'll steady the feet. With an inhale, let's come up to the tippy toes. We're reaching those heels high. And then exhale, just lowering the heels enough. Inhale, coming up to your tippy toes. Exhale, lowering the heels slightly. One more like that. Inhale to rise up. Exhale, heels lower. Inhale, bend your knees, look up toward your hands. Exhale to step or walk your feet behind your blocks or hands. Ragdoll, forward fold. You can have a little bend of your knees or a nice deep bend of your knees. Letting your upper body be nice and loose here. Maybe finding a bit of a swaying motion. Or just enjoying some stillness. If it ever feels like too much to be kind of upside down like this, you might come to a halfway lift position with your hands on your knees, shins, or thighs. Take your time. Maybe at some point nodding yes and shaking your head no. Keep breathing. One more breath in. One more breath out. With your inhale, halfway lift. So hands coming to the knees, shins, or thighs. See if you can create this sense of extra length from the crown of your head to your tailbone, like you're growing horizontally here. And we're looking straight down at the floor, so the neck is somewhat neutral. With an exhale, let's fold forward. Bend your knees a little bit here. Press down through the bottoms of your feet and slowly rise all the way up to stand. Take your time. We'll reach the hands overhead at the top. And then exhale to bring your hands down to heart center. With an inhale, let's come up to the tippy toes, lifting those heels, rising up. Exhale to lower down. You can always hold on to a wall or a chair if you'd like. Inhale to rise up, tippy toes. Exhale to lower down. Let's do that one more time. Option to sweep the arms around and up as you lift. Stay here for your exhale if you'd like. One more breath in. And exhale, lower down, hands come to heart center. Go ahead and start to take a little bit of a shake out here. So you might shake your feet, you might shake your arms, whatever comes to mind here. We're just starting to find some shaking throughout the body, hopefully kind of incorporating most of your body parts, if not all of them. So just finding some movement, some shaking, maybe some kind of little dance. Maybe some swinging of the arms. We're just getting some nice bouncing, shaking throughout your body. It can be so good for moving your energy, definitely for the circulation and for the lymphatic system. Good to do at least once a day if you can. Doesn't take too much time to start feeling good with that. So coming on up to the top of your mat when you're ready to move along. Find a comfortable foot position here. And then we'll spin the palms to face the front of your space, slightly hugging your shoulder blades together behind you and engaging through your core. Here, mountain pose. Inhale, reach both hands high. Grab onto your left wrist with your exhale. We're taking a little side bend toward the right. So we're just kind of pulling that left hand up and over toward the right. Inhale, come up to the center, switch your grip. We're holding on to the right wrist now. And exhale, side bend to the left. Let's do that again. Inhale, come up to the center, grip onto the left wrist. Exhale, side bend to the right. Inhale, come up to the center, hold on to that right wrist. Exhale, side bend to the left. Inhale, come back up, release your grip. Exhale, swan dive, forward fold, hinging at the hips, arms reach wide, eventually letting your hands release toward the floor. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, bring your hands to the floor or blocks. We're stepping the right foot back first and then your left to your high plank. Take one big breath in here, feel your core. Exhale, lower your knees, lower your chest. Breathe like normal as we set up our baby cobra. And we're gonna transition here from baby cobra to upward facing dog. They're actually very similar positions to some degree. So we're pressing the tops of the feet down into the mat with a little bit of space between the feet. In our baby cobra, our hands are usually like right next to our chest, but knowing that we're going to upward facing dog, we can pull the hands back and down a little bit lower so they end up closer to our low rib cage with your elbows hugging in toward your sides. Press into the tops of your feet so much that your knees start coming up off of the mat. With an inhale, rise up to your baby cobra. Your head and your chest are lifting. Exhale to lower down. We'll do that 2 more times. Inhale, lifting up, baby cobra. Exhale, lower down. We'll do our transition here next. So know that you can stay in baby cobra. If you want to play it a little safer for the low back, it's up to you. This time we'll inhale to our baby cobra. Let's stay lifted here for our exhale. With an inhale, press your way up to upward facing dog. So the hips come up. It's just the hands and the tops of the feet reaching up, and we're looking straight ahead. One more breath in. Breath out, lower your knees and lower back to your child's pose. Big breath in as you arrive. Big breath out. One more inhale. One more exhale. With your inhale, rise back up to your tabletop. Grabbing your blocks if you'd like. Eventually using an exhale to go to your downward dog. Big inhale. Exhale through your mouth. 2 more breaths. Inhale. Exhale your style. One more breath in. And breath out. Inhale, bend your knees, look up toward your hands. With your exhale, just step the right foot forward and lower your left knee down to the mat. Grab your blocks if you have them here. Keep breathing. Your left toes could stay curled under or flatten the top of your foot to the mat. Press your hands into your blocks on either side of that right foot and kind of lift your chest up here. So we're creating a neutral spine. So we're not rounding forward. We're kind of puffing the chest up, neutral-ish type of spine. And then we'll sink the hips forward and down, getting a new angle on our hip openers today. So just sinking the hips forward and down until you feel a good amount of stretch through that left hip flexor, the kind of the front side of that right hip, or that left hip joint rather. And our gaze can be straight ahead if that works for you. If you're like me, you like a little extra movement, so you might kind of come out of that sweet spot position a little bit, kind of pulling the hips back slightly, and then sinking back into that sweet spot. Just kind of pulsing with it a little bit. To me, it just feels like it's keeping it fresh. But you do what suits you. Just experimenting till you figure out what does suit you. And staying in this hip opener as long as you'd like, and eventually moving toward half split. So pulling those hips back. Hips will stay lifted over that left knee. Peel your right toes up off of the floor and straighten the right leg just enough until you start to feel a stretch through the back of the right leg. I like to come up on my fists here, give those wrists a little bit of a break. And we're looking forward. And if you're not feeling enough sensation here, you could reach your heart toward your knee. Much more effective to reach the heart toward the knee than it is to round over your leg. You might notice pretty quickly. Same thing here, if you like to kind of come in and out of the sweet spot position here, you could bend that right knee a little bit and then straighten a little bit, or kind of fold a little forward and then lift back up. Your call. And for some people, it might feel nice to alternate between those two positions. So if you want to try that, we'll inhale to come forward, planting the right foot, sinking the hips, lifting the chest to face straight ahead. And then using your exhales to pull the hips back and peel those right toes up, coming back to your half splits. We have about 3 more breaths. Just about 1 more breath. And then planting your right foot, we're going to find kind of a neutral position, so we're not going to be as sunken down as we were before. You can kind of come up a little bit. You could interlace your fingers and place your hands on top of that right thigh if you'd like, or bring one hand to the right hip. Let's reach the left hand up and overhead. Alternatively, you could bring right hand to a block here on the side as we find a side bend to the right. So we're reaching that left hand up and overhead. I'm feeling like I want to stack my blocks and get a little bit higher on those blocks today. Maybe you do too. Just feeling a little extra crunchiness through the right shoulder. So finding more upward length here. See if you can kind of press outward through that left hip, kind of out and forward through that left hip. So you're not only feeling a side stretch here, but another angle on that left hip. One more breath in and breath out. Lower your hands down to the floor on either side of that right foot, or bringing your right hand to the inside of your right foot and toe heeling your right foot way out wide. We're gonna curl the left toes under, pick up your left knee, and then step on back to downward dog. 3 breaths here. Inhale and exhale. Inhale, exhale. Last breath in, breath out. Inhale, bend your knees, look up toward your hands. Exhale, step just your left foot forward and then lower your right knee down. And if on that first side, like your left knee is like in pain or hurting now, go ahead and grab some extra cushioning now for underneath your right knee. So this series feels a little bit kinder to your body. Grab your blocks if you'd like. And we're sending those hips forward and down. I like to be up on the highest setting on my blocks so that my spine can become a little bit more neutral or upright, gazing forward. Take your time here as you explore this hip opener, maybe finding a little bit of a pulse, maybe holding steady. If you ever find a new variation that you just love, I would love to hear about it. It's so interesting to see how other bodies are enjoying different yoga poses and kind of going beyond the cues. Keep staying until you feel ready to go to your half splits when that's time. Pulling the hips back so they're lifted over that right knee. Peel your left toes up off of the floor. Walk your blocks back a little bit. And only straightening that left leg enough until you feel a good amount of stretch happening through the back of that left leg. Again, I just love coming up to my fists in this position, just giving the wrists a little bit of a break. You can also circle those wrists a little bit here, kind of getting double out of this pose. Just breathing and exploring this half splits. And if at any time you want to transition between the two, go ahead. Maybe inhaling to come forward to your low lunge with the hips lowering, the left foot planting, and the gaze lifting. And then exhaling back to the half splits. Just about 3 more breaths. Just about 1 more breath here. And then finding your way to a low lunge, but a little more neutral. So we're gonna kind of unsink, kind of lift out of that low lunge. You could stack your hands on top or interlace your fingers on top of that left thigh if you'd like. For a lot of people, this can already feel like enough of a hip opener through the left or the right hip this time. If you want to find that variation that we did last time and you liked the blocks, maybe you stack your blocks over on the left side. We're going to bring the left hand either to the left hip or to your stack of blocks, and then reach the right hand high and finding your side bend toward the left. Breathe here, maybe slightly sinking forward or kind of pushing that right hip out or forward at an angle. So you're feeling some more nice hip opening. One more breath in and breath out. Bringing your hands down on either side of that left foot, or finding that sneaky step back by bringing the left hand to the inside of your left foot and then toe heeling your left foot out wide. This time we will curl the right toes under and pick up your right knee and step back to your high plank here. Let's take one big breath in here. Exhale. With your inhale, transition to upward facing dog. So we're rolling over the toes, flattening the tops of the feet to the floor, and then sinking the hips down a little bit here. The knees stay lifted. Take a breath. Exhale. One more breath in. Exhale, lower your knees and sink on back to your child's pose. You could roll your wrists a little bit here if you like. And just finding your variations for child's pose. I kind of like to rock a little bit side to side here. Kind of feels nice on my shoulders. Just add your flair. 3 more breaths. One more breath in and breath out. With your inhale, just walking your hands back toward your knees. We're going to come to a seat. So you can straighten your legs out in front of you. We're going to do our golden or cosmic egg balancing here today. So we'll bend our knees. And you can hold on behind the thighs here or on top of the shins or on your knees or wherever feels best for you. Puff the chest up, nice tall spine. Maybe leaning back slightly here and then starting to lift one foot and then the other. Not only are we balancing here, but we are strengthening the core. If you want to turn this more into a core and abdominal strengthener, you could transform this into boat pose by releasing the hands, maybe even straightening your legs here. You find your level today, though, that could be intense. And just trying to work toward keeping a nice, neutral, straight spine. And if it feels too easy and you're like, this is not even really balancing, you could purposely destabilize yourself with a little bit of movement, rocking. You could slightly lower down and then come back up. We're going to be here for about 3 more breaths, filling that time how you'd like. Just about 1 more breath. With your exhale, begin your descent to the floor. Maybe going extra slow if you really want to get that abdominal strengthening in today. Taking a block with you. So hopefully you haven't gone down too far. Grab a block about halfway up your mat. Once you get to the floor here, just let yourself enjoy the floor for a breath. Good. So if you'd like, you can settle right into your final resting pose here. If you'd like just one more little hip opener, core kind of stretch after that core work, we can find our bridge pose, standing your feet up on the mat. And then lifting up to bridge pose, lifting the pelvis just enough to slide that block underneath the sacrum, that very lowest part of the spine. And then setting the sacrum down. So all your weight is on your block. We're going to open up that right hip a little bit here and kind of through the core a little bit by straightening your right leg just enough. You don't have to go too far here. Kind of a nice passive opening stretch for that right hip. Some people can feel it kind of through that right side of the abdominal wall as well. If the low back is super healthy and you're not feeling enough sensation today, you could come up to a higher setting on your block. Though know that the higher you go on your block, the less stable it becomes. So you might choose to just stack your blocks on the lowest setting if you do want to try. And then we'll switch sides here, bending that right knee, foot comes to the floor, and then slowly straightening that left leg out until you feel a nice little opening through that left hip and maybe the left side of the abdominal wall. Another variation that you might try is to extend both legs at the same time, like you're doing a long body stretch, reaching your arms up and overhead. This could really feel like a nice lower abdomen stretch. Maybe you can feel it through the hips. Especially if you take a nice deep breath in and out. Take your time here. You can stay here or begin to move back to bridge pose with your feet on the floor, knees bent. Picking up your pelvis just enough to slide that block out and then lowering the pelvis to the floor. Hug those knees in toward your chest a little bit here. Just find that nice massaging pressure by rocking and rolling a little bit over the low back, over the sacrum. Just some free movement here with some nice massaging pressure. And then whenever you're ready to find your final rest, go ahead and move into that now, whatever it looks like for you. Maybe finding legs up the wall today. If you really liked the pose we started in, maybe heading back there, or just extending the arms and legs in Shavasana, corpse pose. Maybe a sighing, clearing breath or two. And feeling the back of your body softening, welcoming the floor to your experience. Noticing any differences in the textures beneath you. Maybe you can feel the floor and your mat or anything else around you. And then noticing the inside of your body, noticing your body temperature. Any other subtle or gross. Gross is kind of the opposite of subtle. Sensations through the body. And noticing the top side of your body. See if you can become aware of the air and space just outside of your skin. Noticing the ways in which our human bodies can feel so part of the surroundings and also pretty separate too. Maybe you can feel your body heat or your aura or your energetic boundaries outside of your body, kind of becoming one with the air and the room and the floor around you. And then kind of pulling back from that, noticing the boundary of your skin, just kind of fluctuating there, going from this sense of unity with the surroundings and the you-ness of the container of your physical body. And if you like to pair things with your breath, maybe your inhale is when you feel this sense of openness and unity with your surroundings. Maybe the exhales have you feeling more of your body boundary. Inhaling unity. Exhale to feel you as a separate entity. And letting that fluctuation take the least amount of effort possible, almost like you're just watching it happen. Softening your face and your shoulders and your jaw. And know that you can stay here as long as you would like. But when you're ready to move along, deepening your breath, starting to wiggle fingers and toes. Maybe swallowing or yawning or rotating through the ankles and wrists. And just continuing to move in ways that feel right for you. Maybe reaching long for a long body stretch. Maybe a little shake or wiggle of the legs. And then eventually choosing a side and then rolling over onto that side, coming to the fetal position. And then pressing your way up to a seat using the help and strength of your hands and arms. If it feels okay, maybe crossing the legs or coming up to a comfortable seat. And then joining hands in front of your heart center, perhaps closing your eyes if you like. And I invite you to join me in kind of chanting our closing Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Feel free to sing along or hum along or just listen. So taking a breath in together. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Together, let's bring our thumbs up to third eye center, just between and above the eyebrows. And in a little gesture of gratitude for ourselves, for each other, for this ancient Indian practice that has made its way to us today through all kinds of teachers and lineages. If it feels right to you, let's take a little bow forward together now. Peace.